Hi, and welcome to a brand new slew of film recommendations episodes. I recently saw a whole new bunch of movies that I had been wanting to see for a while. Some of the reviews are going to take a little while to finally get done, but I have a lot of reviews already written, and basically, I took the time to actually write out my notes instead of kind of just rambling off the top of my head and losing track of thought the way that we all might do if we were doing an extended real-time recording without any real editing. So I thought I owed it to you and myself to actually put in some really concerted effort and actually organize my thoughts a little bit better. That way, you get something better for the viewing, and I get something better for my effort. And as it is, I think that hopefully you'll get a lot out of this. So I'm going to just read off the notebook, which is that I wrote in, which is not terribly interesting, but it's a lot more interesting than hearing me lose track of thought and have to put up with me talking very slowly. Okay, so the first film that I'm going to review is Brave. Following the one-word title trends of Disney's recent films, Tangled, Epic, this film had a great look and good music. But once the characters began speaking, the dialogue and westernized Scottish make the whole thing a bit of a mess. The film starts out well with the idea set up that the father would die and the daughter would grow to become the brave leader needed to save her people. Instead, it turns into a story of a tiger mom with no motivation to become one, and a daughter who is defiant for some reason. In Tangled, we understand Rapunzel's desires to leave home. We also understood her mother/kidnapper's desire to keep her in the tower. In Brave, it feels like the father should be the one who believes in magic, not the mother. Then it's ironic for the mother to be turned into a bear by magic. The dialogue wherein the mother and daughter are monologuing to one another in different locations, so they can't actually speak to one another, but they're saying what they need to say to one another, is interesting, but only shows what has been well established. Neither listens to what the other says. It's what Max Bialystock would call a rhetorical conversation. The scene in which Merida is wearing a French-style noblewoman's dress is a little absurd and takes liberties that while the men are dressed as savages, the women have to be groomed and refined, and in the case of Merida's dress, absolutely covered in only having her hands and face showing. At this point, I should make note that there was decent voice acting and pretty good voice casting. Not great, but rather typical decent voice casting for Pixar. I'll make a couple more notes after that, after the actual review of the movie. Okay, moving on. First, in continuance to the note on style of dress. First, Scottish noblemen dressed in the clothes of many noblemen at the time, a basic tunic with a coat of fine material over it. Pants or hose for riding, with pointed shoes and spurs, hair groomed and beards trimmed and styled. Tartans were worn according to your region. Your clan's tartan didn't start as a thing until the Jacobite Rebellion. Haggis was popularized by Robert Burns. So, unfortunately for the viewer, they kind of boiled everything down that Americans know about Scotland and just made a lot of the characters stereotypes. It's unfortunate because Scottish culture has a lot to it and is a really exciting part of it's a in terms of the British Isles, the culture. It's a wonderful culture to explore, and as it is, haggis, which it was popularized by Robert Burns in Scotland when he wrote his famous poem "To a Haggis." Haggis actually comes from France, apparently. So, I mean, yeah. Anyway, the fishing montage doesn't give us anything except for the mildly amusing sight of them falling in the water, which could have been accomplished with a montage of following wisps. Uh, you know, I honestly thought when they mentioned the fire waters, the water, the fire falls, that that was going to be part of releasing the spell, that she had to bathe in the fire falls or drink from the fire falls or something like that as you said the words. But they just kind of let the fire falls fall by the wayside, so to speak. And they didn't really follow through on a lot of the elements of the story as much as I would have liked. The element with the spell leaving her to become feral is interesting, and the part with the four princes. But most spells don't have deadlines in folktales. Rather, they require a change in the people. The number of writers on the screenplay betrays the number of drafts. Beside that, the final moral about finding your fate, when brave enough to find it, feels like it was there throughout, but still doesn't seem as good of a fit to the plot. The triplets make for Pixar's usual excellent pantomime, but seem rather forced in for comic relief. Now, on the disc for the Disney DVD, it comes with a bonus short, which anyone who's seen the Pixar shorts knows that most of them are really quite brilliant and rarely have any real dialogue, so this is no exception. Brave comes with the bonus short La Luna, which is all pantomime. It's very original and brilliant. In other words, it's a kind of short that you think of when you think of Pixar. The second short that comes on the disc, The Legend of Mordu, sheds light on the backstory in a way that could have been told in Brave. So I think, unfortunately, that the filmmakers of Pixar kind of let some people down in the true spirit of Cars 2 and other such films. They could have done better, but they didn't quite make it up to the usual standard that we're accustomed to.